Good day to you, my friends, my family, my delightful everybody, the people that make this show possible. You, I mean, and me, but and you. So we are live because it's 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I am Kurt Wookert Jr., and therefore it is time for the CoinGeek Weekly live stream. We are going to be going over all kinds of goodies today. Our guest today is Mr. Rohan Sharan. Or Sharan. I'm gonna have him definitively pronounce his name correctly, because I hate when I don't know how to do it exactly right. Because most people get my name wrong, and that's always been a little bit of a just one of those things, you know what I mean? Like, you hear it, it makes your eye do that little micro twitch, one of those things. Like, it's not Wookart or Wookart or Wuckhurt or whatever, but Kurt Wookert Jr., everybody. And so I really like when people say my name right, and therefore I try to get everybody's names right when I say them here on the show. So everybody, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, hit the alert bell, do all that jazz. Let the algorithm know that you are a fan of the show, you want to see our content, and that everything that happens across the CoinGeek universe is something that you wish to consume directly into your mind. I would appreciate it very much. Helps us pay the bills, and then therefore continue to do the show. Really, really helpful on that front. So if you also are watching live, please share it across social media. I am simulcasting, as well as CoinGeek's channel simulcasting across X, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and any number of other places. Oh, and the YouTube. I think we probably get most feedback from the YouTube. But please hit the comments, hit the likes, all of that jazz. I hate asking for it. It feels a little bit beggarish, but they control the world. So our guest today, again, Rohan Sharan, will be on shortly here. But while we prepare ourselves and talk about the things of the day, I would like you to check out my pinned post on X, where I talk a little bit about mining economics and some of what's going on, or a little more about what's going on. In the last 5 weeks, I think I've written about mining and mining economics like 3 times here. And the reason is there's lots of kind of unprecedented stuff happening, including we are near a 6-year low in mining profitability, because seemingly no matter what happens with the price or the rest of the economy, the hash power just keeps going up and up and up and up and up and up and up. And then therefore profitability goes down and down and down and down and down, because difficulty adjustment. Thank you, Satoshi Nakamoto. But the thing that gets really weird is the fact that, well, there wasn't really a plan for miners to be earning their money with things like curtailment agreements and carbon credits, and then selling company stock, and lots of these kind of things that are making money outside of Bitcoin's internal economics. And so the other thing is that there wasn't supposed to be hash power arbitrage from among various forks of Bitcoin. And so that also kind of throws a wrench in some things, and it's just, there's a lot going on. So I wrote an article about it. It's my pinned post on X right now. I would love for you to both read it, give me some feedback, let me know what you think, let me know how you feel. Sometimes how you feel is just as important as what you think, and I'm happy to discuss it with you. Also, we are this close to having new baby Wookert. Should be here any day. Like, this is the week when my baby is officially due, which means, holy cow, we've actually made it through all of the scheduled guests that I was a little bit worried could have been affected. And it means I will almost certainly be off next Tuesday on something of a paternity leave, as I acclimate to having 3 children in my house under 5 years old, and all of that jazz. So please bear with. We will likely just simply be off. We may have a guest. Maybe Alex Vidal will host a show live here on video next week, but no pressure. If anybody wants to reach out, hey, you ever really, really wanted to host the CoinGeek Weekly live stream, you can be my understudy. We'll talk about it, but reach out. Let's see if maybe we can work something out. But in all likelihood, I'll just simply be off, or maybe we'll play a greatest hits episode. You can look at me when I was quite a bit fatter, which was most of the history of this show at this point. So, okay. So we are going to cut across to an ad. And then we're going to come back with Mr. Sharan. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff going on in India at Timechain Labs, Summer of Code, and a bunch of broad Bitcoin stuff, which, if you're watching, I'm guessing you're something of a fan. So, Mr. Vidal, cue up the ad, and we will be right back. Ads, man, that music, dude. You look awesome, by the way. Like, you got this whole cool guy look going on with the slick hair and the glasses, man. You're looking good. How are you?
I am very good. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, for sure. So let's start. I'm trying to think, when was the last time you were on the show? It's been a good while now.
I guess 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah, something like that. So a lot's been going on the last 2 years. You've had a whole bunch of change. You've been building out this whole India community and really building up like developer resources and getting people educated about Bitcoin. Can you maybe in like a 1 or 2 minute summary, what have you been up to for the last 2 years? How's the basic stuff, and then we'll get into the details of all the stuff you're up to.
All right. Yes. So last time we were just starting out in India when you were one of the speakers also at the conference. That's what the foray into the India awareness of BSV in India was. The first time we actually hosted the conference. And after that, we continued on to have more meetups conducted every month and more activities, more hackathons, workshops in universities. And now we have built a community in about 8 cities in India, main capital cities of different regions, IT centers. And all of them have about 50 to 100 people who are knowledgeable, aware of BSV and active in those communities. And now we are building the ecosystem in India where we want more developers. So that's why we launched the Timechain Summer of Code program also last year. And that became a huge hit among the developers. There's a huge demand for talent, and there's a huge demand for resources are already there in India. So it's a big, good match that we made in Timechain Summer of Code, and it has been successful, and we are continuing it with the second version of it this year, second edition, and it has been going great.
Oh, that's incredible. Can you give for anybody that's unaware, what are the basics? What is Summer of Code? Is this a giant pool party and there's a little bit of programming happening on the sides, or is it, how structured? Like, what are people learning? What are they doing? Is it competitive? Let's get into it.
Yes. So I believe anybody can learn blockchain development if they just give enough time to it, and they have the guidance that is needed. So we have structured the program in such a way that there is the upskilling phase and then there's the contribution phase. This is inspired, though there's more developments we did onto it, but the name, the way Google started it as the Google Summer of Code, is the most premium internship program that most developers in the universities seek to get into. And we have kept the selection procedure like that for Timechain Summer of Code program. And that's basically for blockchain development and a blockchain internship that students and even non-students can get into. And there's the upskilling phase is about them learning about BSV, the fundamentals of blockchain, fundamentally of the white paper, then about the wallet, SPV wallet in particular, how to build scalable blockchain applications as the Terra node architecture and the overlay network around that, then about Script. So those workshops, those 4 workshops, as well as the Bitcoin script course, 4 workshops live taken by me, and then the Bitcoin script course, which is very technical into the assembly language, what are the operation codes there, and also the Bitcoin enterprise course, because we thought that's also very much useful for the use cases of blockchain. And that's what qualifies people to go into the coding phase, because even still the upskilling is not really over for contribution. So the coding phase of upskilling is about actually developing full stack applications. So in that, there is again 4 workshops, in which the first workshop is just front end development using Svelte. We have chosen Svelte as the framework. I'm a fan of Svelte, so there's a leaning there.
Interesting. What is real quick? What is Svelte based? Is it like a JavaScript
It's
wrapper? Or
very much like React. It's a
okay,
competitor to
okay,
React. Essentially.
similar to React. Okay.
Yes, it's the most loved framework, topping the JS rankings right now.
Oh, okay.
So there's a workshop on that, then Svelte Kit to build a full stack application, then a wallet integration workshop to then integrate the full stack application you have built. In the full stack, people learn CRUD. CRUD is very fundamental to learning full stack application, which is create, read, update, and delete a database, how to make that as a UI, and then integrate a wallet into it, and then just having the final smart contracts getting deployed with the button click on the website with a wallet. So that builds the coding phase out. And then people go into the contribution phase. So even before coding into the contribution phase, there is a sprint, 1 week long sprint, in which they have been given a page, a unique page that they have to develop with one use case, a very simple page, just to demonstrate that they have learned everything. And that's what qualifies people into the contribution phase, in which they are now allocated into different projects. We haven't reached there for cohort 1 yet. We are right now in the coding phase, completing the coding phase of cohort 1. And we are inviting applications for cohort 2, which is beginning the mid of July.
So that's sounds really sophisticated in its structure, actually. So that's really exciting to hear. I have to wonder, because we do the same kind of stuff in Florida. We took this year off for a couple of reasons. Largely, my core group of guys has moved away from where we were, so we're in a little bit of a reorganization pattern. But my question is, every time we did this, we'd get a lot of guys, and this is maybe a Miami thing, but we'd get a lot of guys who are kind of Solana background. We definitely have some Ethereum guys. Then we had lots of people from Algorand too, which also had a pretty heavy base in Miami. So I'm wondering, when you bring people in, do you get people that have maybe a preference for like your sort of global state machine, ETH, Solidity based stuff? Like, basically, do you have to deprogram anybody as a predicate, or are people generally just like, oh, cool, let's learn how to do this, and there's not really any pushback?
Well, generally, I would say let's learn this. There's no pushback, because they're still a bit second years or third years in university. There's not that much exposure to that ecosystem, but there are, let's say, out of 200, there are like 15 to 20 who are very much into Ethereum already. They have dealt with all that. But once they see the workshops, once they go through the workshops, they are also able to comprehend, because I keep giving the comparisons of how it's done in Ethereum, in Solidity, and how it's done here, and why it's different and better in this way. So they also upgrade themselves.
Okay, very cool. So when it comes to Bitcoin script and some of these things, which is, it's not crazy complicated. I think once you start to dig into it a little bit, it is logical and becomes clear, but it's based in Forth and some of these what people kind of call like older programming languages. And by older, I think it's a little bit, if somebody was going to program like missile guidance software in the 90s, like you'd be working in Forth. And so I think it gets that reputation a little bit, but part of it is that it's very close to the metal, very low level,
and it gives very good understanding of the processor. See,
yeah.
Good programmers work close to the metal. I mean, they understand what's happening in the registers, in like what is the operation codes that the assembly understands. And Forth has been, when I learned Forth at first, when I was in my final year of university, inspired by Bitcoin itself, like reading into Forth, it gave me more understanding about even computer science than many of my colleagues who didn't dig into it that much. So that's the beauty of Forth. You even understand even basic primitives of every language, not just Forth. Like for loop is not a primitive anyway in the assembly. It's not even a primitive in fourth. That's why it's a primitive to jump the branch is a primitive. So
Sure.
that's, you learn those basics, and it's a beautiful language.
Interesting. Well, that's very cool. Do you have when you have people like other programmers, I think a lot of people learn JavaScript because there's a lot of work to do in JavaScript, and especially on the other side of the world, you have this opportunity to say, hey, you can get customers in the US if you're just really good at JavaScript, and you can build websites and get good at CSS. So you get a lot of like front end heavy developers that sort of work their way from, hey, I'm good at React, I'm good at CSS, I'm good at these kind of things, and then they sort of back their way into doing a little bit lower level programming. Do you have a lot of guys that need to have some of those, like whatever tendencies that you might have from a JavaScript standpoint, like when they learn lower level stuff? Do you see resistance or anything from different backgrounds? Or so I guess a better way to phrase my question is, would you rather have somebody that maybe understands theory but doesn't have a lot of practice, or would you rather have somebody that has a lot of practice but maybe in things that are not applicable?
I get you. There is more demand to apply, and even people ask whether this program will teach us full stack development, like outside of even the blockchain part. Well, the answer is yes. We have that included. That's a part of it, but that's, we don't go deep into it, and we do filter. So if they are completing, let's say, all the workshops which are related to front end and then full stack and integrating it, but not completing the Bitcoin script course. So if they're not that into it, they will just not be able to complete Bitcoin script course. Last time we didn't have this criteria. So we got more developers who were not that into it, that they could go through the entire Bitcoin script, very deep into fourth and everything. So I dealt with many of the developers who weren't that deep into that. So we allocated them more of the front end tasks. So you can still utilize them in different projects. They are useful. It's useful for them also. But this time, everybody has pretty much, our selection criteria are tighter because we had a large crowd last time, so we can afford to be tighter. So that's what we are doing this time.
Oh, that's exciting. So what happens next? Like when you get a guy that graduates through your program, I mean, are you looking to hire that person? Is this like a talent acquisition opportunity for you, or are you hoping they go out and start their own business, or like what is the your 2-year roadmap with each person coming through these programs? Like what do you hope that they end up doing in 2025, 2026?
Yes. So this is a talent acquisition engine or program for not just us at Timechain Labs, but also other ecosystem companies that we want to support. And the developers can get hired. We want to connect them to different companies in the ecosystem, all who require developers, and even startups. Let's say we were also discussing with Block Dojo to be the startups over there also require developers. So to be pipelining the resources from India getting trained and then getting utilized by the ecosystem companies, and basically sticking around in the ecosystem and contributing in some way. If not part of a startup, then starting their own startup or contributing open source.
Very cool. So let's talk a little bit about some of this stuff, like the curation of content in the Bitcoin space. I've seen a lot of people make courses and then they kind of they pick a direction. We've seen this for years, actually. It's kind of like if you were to go take a generic, like, hey, I want to get like a blockchain class in my university, it probably is going to be an Ethereum based programming class or something like that. And then you get this notion that blockchain and Ethereum are the same thing, and then you don't even know that like UTXO based systems exist. So you can make some decisions in the even in the BSV space about things like token protocols or different, like script, for example, is a decision to make. Like you can code in script in other ways, but script is very popular. Same with like tokens. You can teach STAs style tokens or even go with like tokenized or something, but right now the most popular token protocol is one sat ordinals. And so I'm curious, do you make those sorts of like curation decisions, or do you kind of broadly touch on all of them? Like what do you want to see? Basically, do you want them to be generalists, or do you want them to be specialists? And if they're specialists, how are you guiding them to specialize?
All right. Yes, that's a very good question. So I cover the top, that there are all these token protocols, and this is the way this works, just generally on the top, that this is the way this works. And the assignment for that day is just using the most popular one. Let's say they have to deploy the stars token and give a transaction ID as a submission of the assignment for that day of their own transaction ID. So that was given, let's say, as stars token at that time. Now, for different types of protocols, we have told them about ordinals. So when it is useful, but in the next phase, when they go into, we don't have that much time in the upskilling phase to teach or go through every single, let's say, type of protocol. The most famous one, so we just use that. Even script, so we just use script because that's the most utilized version of smart contracting. And in that, the decision is then to problem statement to give them as the homework of what. That's just a very basic multiplier function that they have to write as a contract to find the correct product as the input, just to solve that. So that is just script. And the SPV wallet. So we go through the SPV wallet SDK of the standard that's released by the BSV Association. And we have our wallet also built on the SPV platform. So there's a gap there. So that's a choice we have, that there is a paymail server and the rest of the infrastructure around the wallet that needs to be deployed and used as well. So we have that built using the SPV SDK, and they just get it on the get-go to be running with it, to receive Satoshis and transfer to each other, and then try to make transactions with the SDK and all that. So that's also linked to it. Besides that, there are more technology choices like Svelte instead of React, Tailwind CSS, SvelteKit. So those technology stacks are what I recommend. So the curation has happened that way.
Interesting. No, it's good. I think, some of that is just sort of necessary. You have to curate some ways the political aspects of all of these things. But no, that's exciting. So outside of these systematic cohorts, like what else are you up to? I know Timechain Labs is its own company. You're doing other things. What else is going on your side of the world, man? I think a lot of people when you think of BSV, you might think of like, I don't know, there's a bunch of people in London, or there's a bunch of people in Switzerland, like in Zug and that kind of stuff, or we got this Miami thing going on, but you have a whole crew of people doing cool stuff on your end of the world too. So what else is going on that people might not be aware of? What are you excited about for yourself and for Bitcoin broadly, and coming out of India?
Right. So India is a leader in fintech that many people might not be aware. There's the very advanced micropayment system already by the central bank, which is called UPI. And at Timechain Labs, what we have found in India is building fintech solutions, particularly. That has become our forte. In fintech also, we have created a solution called deep finance tokens, which is for supply chain financing. That's different from what, let's say, Uniswap does, is just tracking objects on the supply chain. This is financing invoices of the supply chain actors. And deep tier financing basically links invoices for smaller players who are not able to get finance, even though they are part of a bigger supply chain with a bigger anchor. So that's the kind of solution we have been building, working with some of the NBFCs, banks. We got one of the startups, which is called Finag, also cross the central bank sandbox for going into market with these types of blockchain solution. And we're looking forward to have more of these ledger-based solutions built. Essentially, what we think of is the whole globally shared ledger to be powering the entire economy. So that is the vision. And to do that, we require a lot of tokenization, tokens, financial instruments to be represented on the ledger, and the ledger to be used as a service. So ledger as a service, as we call it. And pitching that, doing some kinds of solution like coalition loyalty points between brands. So those are the things we have been up to.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. Little reminder to everybody watching, if you want to get in direct contact with Rohan, you can reach out directly to him. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to Alex Vidal to make connections here. I think one of the things that I really want this show to be is a really good place for people to make business connections and grow their network, grow their business, and then eventually grow their wealth. But also, if you're watching live and you get a really good comment, so we are doing comment of the day. And that is, one of the key things that we want you to do. And if you are the commenter of the day, whoever comes up with the best comment, post it here. You will win a Champions TCG card pack. So keep those comments flowing. Give me questions, comments, etc. If you engage good discussion, you can win those TCG cards. So get out there and bust a move. So Rohan, I think one of the really cool things about working globally, and I love that we get to work globally. In fact, this is something that I talked about a decade ago in Bitcoin, that like, hey, the really cool thing is that we have money that is valuable everywhere, and therefore I get to have colleagues in the Philippines and colleagues in India, and like it's just as easy for me to work with somebody down the street as it is for me to work with somebody in the complete opposite side of the world. So how much are you doing work outside of India, working like collaboratively with people in other parts of the world? Are you getting more clientele in Europe or Asia or the Americas? I'm very curious to hear, like, what is your global presence? Where are you finding growth during this era where it seems like you're growing just fine where you're at? But what are some other places where you're seeing business generated?
Europe. So we have had clientele out of Europe, UK, and Spain. We have had clientele in India only. It's lesser in India, but it's there. It's there. And our team is comprised of people from India, some Indians in US as well, and then Nigerians as well.
Interesting. Well, that's exciting. Well, Nigeria, it's funny. I keep hearing Nigeria like the last 6 months. Now, I know Nigeria is like I think they're maybe the most educated country in the world. If you go by like higher education standards, I think per capita, there's more people with like postgraduate degrees in Nigeria than anywhere else on earth. But for whatever reason, they've stayed very insulated to themselves. Whereas you get lots of Indians or lots of people in the Philippines and stuff like that kind of have a global presence, but Nigeria seems very insulated. Can you explain how you got connected and started working with more people in Nigeria?
We got some applications through some of our posts for hiring, and our designers and the developers ended up choosing them, and they were cheaper resources, much cheaper. So the HR also approved it, and it was just that we are working with Nigerians now and figuring out how to make payments to them.
Yeah. That's really cool. That's exciting.
Yeah, there's really good talent in Nigeria. I've been noticing there. I see them now growing and probably becoming more accessible, like Indians and people from Philippines are.
Very cool. No, that's exciting. So what do you think? Let's talk a little more generally about Bitcoin. Like, there's been a lot of shakeup. My article that I posted today is about how mining profitability is at like a 6-year low right now. I think a lot of people are expecting massive blow off the top bull market, and then the people in BSV were hoping for at some point some kind of black swan flippening and all this. But things have been a little bit chaotic in a few ways. What do you think about trajectory? What do you think are some key things? Now, I always say, man, start a business. Like, you start creating customers and you start solving a lot of problems for everybody. But what do you think? What are some key steps that your average, Bitcoin fan or whatever can start to make to really get some traction and really start to change the world and bring this out of this niche economy? We've been in this now 15 years of we're the weird niche economy in fintech. How do we get mainstream in your opinion? If you had $1 billion and a magic wand, what does that look like?
Well, that's again a very good question. If I had $1 billion and a magic wand, um, well, stablecoin is the way to go. We need more stablecoins. If you are in any place, in any country, somehow, if you can figure out how you can make a stablecoin in that region, BSV needs more stablecoins. This was my iteration even in the Dubai conference, and that remains true. If not, get a CBDC. Well, if you can get a CBDC issued on BSV, that's just perfect. Because to get the fintech ecosystem going and using BSV, we need at least the rupee tokens or the dollar tokens or whichever country you're operating in, where the businesses are operating in. If they need to use the payment solutions powered by BSV, they need to have the tokens first issued on BSV. So that just has to be there. Then whichever industry you are in, you might be in content creation, you might be on agriculture or anything. There is some way the blockchain does integrate in that industry. Probably there's a mind map also I have of every single industry, where it fits in. So you would be fitting somewhere, and we can certainly have you contribute to have the top player in that business. See, blockchain is a backend technology in the end. So it's not going to be visible to the final user as well in the end. So end user, it will be something on the background. So the users or the implementers are going to be businesses, ideally, who are current leaders or who you are backing as the leader with the tech powered by blockchain, who's going to take down the leader. So it's either way, we become the leader in whatever industry it is. Either make the current leaders use it, or make the startup to use it.
Yeah. So what do you think of the concept of Bitcoin as money? Like your sort of Bitcoin Cash maximalist type, where like, hey, we should use the base asset as money on a daily basis. And like, do you want to be going to the grocery store and paying for things in BSV, or do you think that should be abstracted away and you're using digital rupee when you're in India, or you're using Philippine peso in the Philippines, or you're using US dollars if you're in New York City or something? Like, what do you think there's a mix of that, or what do you think that looks like?
My heart has been for sound money. That's what brought me to Bitcoin at the very beginning. But what I see and what I have learned following Craig as well, it has been a lot of learning. I can see that Bitcoin won't be getting used for payments at all in any of the countries for the foreseeable future. And for that future, it's going to be like gold is not used for payments today. It's not that bad. You can have the commodity market regulating Bitcoin just like gold is only traded, and you don't have payments happening with gold. And it's probably used in jewelry and other places. So it will be used like paying the transaction fees and plumbing basically in the background while it's getting traded on the commodity markets, a regulated market. That's the best scenario I see it as, until we have some really innovative new age governments coming up adopting Bitcoin as payments directly. I would love to see that happening. Probably chess move number 15 when we are much bigger.
Sure. What do you think of like real world asset? So there's been a few really interesting proposals, including across like the Ethereum ecosystem and stuff too. Lots of people talking about RWA tokens, and like what do you think about making payments in gold or silver or platinum, or salt or sugar or whatever else? Do you think that is a viable like compromise between like your sort of CBDC all the way on this side, and then maybe Bitcoin or gold payments all the way on the other, like real world asset tokens as like a payment currency? Do you think that's a thing, or is that a pipe dream?
No, real world tokens, real world assets. I'm a very big prominent. I think the way the ledger is going to be adopted is by tokenization, by having more real world assets to be represented onto it.
Yeah.
And I treat the layers of assets as basically three layers. You can think of it. Three layers of, essentially, if I tell you the entire financial system is supposed to run on the ledger.
Yeah.
So how are you going to begin and how are you going to end? So you can divide it into three parts. The first is the money itself needs to be represented, the national currency. And that is the first part. The second part is the financial markets need to be represented. And the third part is the goods and services need to be represented. So
Sure.
all the goods and services come into as tickets, as coupons, reward points, representing different services, all of that
Sure.
as goods and services. The financial markets, the second one is all the shares, derivatives, options, all of that.
Yeah.
And the money market, the first one, the base level, the payments are going to happen with that, that's for sure. You can't have payments with the tickets or goods and services and nor with the financial instruments. You can have it only with money, but there are two types of money. There's the M0 money supply, the base level money, the CBDC. Then there's the M1 money supply, which is actually 90% or more of the money supply, which
Right.
is the bank deposits. So even that is a solution. So doing the tokenization for all of these, the entire spectrum of all these assets, very neutrally, that CBDC is as neutral as goods and services. So that's when we'll have the entire economy running on our shared global ledger.
Yeah. It's exciting. So lots
Yes,
of,
that's what excites me. That's what is the only hope I can see. And that's why
yeah.
I say that we need to have all the solutions. We need the stablecoin or the
Yeah.
CBDC. And on the other end, just try to tokenize whatever industry you're in, try to tokenize assets from that industry.
Sure. No, it's smart. I like it. And actually it's very practical, but just I say this all the time, like conceptually it's simple, but it's not easy. So
Not very easy.
yeah. So we got a lot of good questions queued up actually. So let's start banging through. I think I see 17 question starts. We might need to be efficient with our answers. So Uncle Josh, Mr. Face, he goes by a number of other nicknames as well, but says, I like the Timechain Labs name. I do too. That's a good one. He says, do you see anyone coming over from Ethereum, or is it a shot in the dark knowing that all blockchains are cults?
We have had some developers come over from Ethereum last year. And I expect the same to happen this year as well. Yeah, so that's that.
Cool. Good answer. Crypto Spartacus. I've been following along with the Svelte videos. All right, so hey, you're bringing people into the Svelte ecosystem
as well.
Brett Banfi saying, what was the process of India's dev history in the past with internet and web development? Did it happen slowly and then all at once? And were these IT cities you've identified important to that growth? This is a really good question, actually, because I make a lot of internet adoption analogies, but that's a very American, like I always think of like AOL and that kind of thing. But what is it like in your part of the world? What did that tech adoption look like internet adoption and some of these other things? And maybe we can learn something there about what Bitcoin adoption might look like because of your experience.
Well, the tech adoption or IT adoption happened with IBM mainframes. So IBM mainframes needed more engineers and probably the support. I'm forgetting the exact detail there, but the support was not there with the developers not there for that. So many IT companies started springing up with the engineers in India we just found that okay, there's a talent for developers already knowing the programming language for the mainframes, the IBM mainframes, and there's nobody in the world doing that or having that capability. So IT server companies just started scaling up, doing outsourcing services with these developers, and that's what started the history of Indian IT basically. And
Interesting.
Then it started with Hyderabad first, and then Bangalore as the next IT hubs, as the two cities forming. And then when about people in my generation or much before my generation as well, There's a lot of engineers in India, huge number of talent that goes into engineering. And even when you're doing a business, you first go into engineering and then do anything else. So if that's the case, and the IT just became the most sought after, since there were the most highest paying jobs getting paid from foreign countries, getting good talent, the creamiest talent from India. So that became the aspiration. So that just naturally built the cycle that the aspiration is to become the top IT engineer in one of the foreign paying company. So that's how that started. And that's just continuing until now. India has actually built its own market so much with the new government coming in, like making it very, very open for innovation and supporting startups, that there's actually talent coming back to India to build in India. There's more opportunity here as well. So that's also happening.
Good sign. I should move to India. Jordan Kramsky, one of my favorite people, actually, a guy that more people should know because he's another very valuable thinker in the space, saying so many people posting their Academy certs in the TSOC 2024 Discord channel. It's awesome to see. Thanks for telling us more about it. Can you elucidate a little bit what this is about?
Yes. So as part of the upskilling phase I told you about, it has one part to do the Bitcoin script course and to post the certificate by joining the BSV Discord in the TSOC 2024 channel. That's where the certificate has to be posted. That way they are included in our community and try to get to know all the people and what's up, getting updated there.
Very cool. Let's keep those questions pumping out. Divyanshu Prasad saying, hey, everyone, I'm a Svelte dev and working in Timechain Labs. How many guys do you have working with you? Is it like 5 guys, or are you one of those guys that has 50 people? And
It is pretty much 30 people
and
then 20 interns. So it's something like that.
Incredible. Man, how do you don't look old enough to manage that many people. So first of all, congratulations. But what's it like having that many people working under you, working with you, that kind of thing? That's impressive.
Well, it's very hectic.
I bet.
Well, yeah, that's
a good answer. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I am working all day, pretty much 16 hours plus Saturdays, Sundays. But it is the startup phase, so I expect that. And I love working. I'm passionate about this technology and everything around it. So I just work nonstop.
Sure. I had a similar conversation today with the Gorilla Pool team, or maybe it was last night. It was the same thing. I had like a 10 p.m. meeting after my day starts at 8 a.m. on Mondays and then goes until about 11 p.m. So I have a 10 p.m. meeting as my last thing. And I remember saying to the guys as we closed, and I was like, hey, I have a new baby coming like any day, and I'm going to need to take a few days off. But I want you to know that Gorilla Pool is also one of my children. I will not stay gone for very long. So it's wild, frankly. Here we go.
Exactly like that. And I just love it. Even Craig, Craig inspired so much about it. He even probably has a blog on infinite work or something like that. Work is infinite.
Like I remember reading that. Yeah,
very good.
For sure. Here's Braden Langley, one of our guests from 4 or 5 weeks ago, I think we had him on, saying, what would you say is the biggest hurdle to overcome when educating people about blockchain technology? Good question.
Very good question. Biggest hurdle. There's different types of educating. Well, if it's a developer, there's a different hurdle to understand the UTXO model. Would be the hurdle. But if it's just teaching about blockchain in general, not to a developer, but just blockchain, what it is, there the biggest hurdle is them to comprehend the ledger. just the ledger. People are so far away from, even forget blockchain. If you just tell them about a ledger, okay, there's a ledger that, that works to
Yeah.
power all your current transactions. That's already getting too complex. So that's the only thing. People don't deal with ledgers daily or day to day. So, but they do understand it theoretically, like just knowing that it's a ledger. But there is so much nuance to it. So just explaining that and the intricacies. So only people in very deep in fintech do appreciate, or
Yeah.
accountants and other people like that appreciate
Sure.
that immediately.
Crazy. Man, it's such an interesting thing. Like I think about how I explain this to people. We're hiring people right now too, and I'm just kind of like, all right, well, what do you know about databases? And then it's always a little bit like, you start with the like, okay, this is gonna be fun. So, Mr. Vidal, let's bring up a couple more. I can't believe we're only 12 minutes left in the show here. Dave, Mr. Dave Taylor, Professor Dave, I call him. Do you have any international financial commitments with the Nigerian royal family?
No, I do not, but I will welcome
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's get some Nigerian royals on the show, and we'll talk about opportunities in Nigeria. Next one, please. Sylvain Cloutier, what's up? Been a while. What's up, my friend? Sylvain has been I always say Sylvain because I'm very American. I'm pretty sure it's Sylvain because he's French Canadian. But thanks for watching, sir. It's good to have you. Timechain familiar. What's up, Mr. McSheehan? Another good dude. Who else we got? Who else we got? This guy is an Indian Chad. I'm out. Have fun, players. He's a good dude. Actually, he's maybe the best penetration tester I've ever met. So he's a fun one to work with too. Another one from Brett. Do you think India leaders who are building blockchain solutions are especially focused on utility, or is there still uncertainty between the role of blockchain for its crypto meme coins versus utility?
There has been a push by the central bank. Well, you say Indian leaders, that comes in the picture very directly, that they are already using Hyperledger, or one of the types of Hyperledger, to issue the digital rupee. And they are now having the different banks increase the transactions there. And they are now having a standard token protocol also, or way of token API essentially given by them. So they are the providers of their very centralized way of doing it. But yeah, that's the stack they have chosen. And they have issued like asking banks to also implement, let's say, tokens in some way, use tokens in some of their operations or something like that. So they are pro blockchain, anti crypto. Same with the finance minister. And she has also taken that same stance, and pretty much the entire stance has been anti crypto and pro blockchain. And this aligns very well with BSV. We are also anti crypto and pro the ledger, pro blockchain. So that just aligns very nicely. The only thing is, that's why I say it more and more, that we are pretty much very nicely positioned. It's the anti-crypto side, but Hyperledger is also the anti-crypto side. It has a tokenless blockchain. Now, how do you have a tokenless blockchain that you can have only when you have either stable coins or the services that are getting provided by the service providers? They're useful without any token. So that's also something we already do. So we are very uniquely positioned that our blockchain can work both as a public blockchain. It can work even as a permission blockchain, which
Sure.
many corporates are wanting. That's also very easily possible because you can have permissioned overlay networks or permissioned subledgers,
Yep.
in which transactions can only be added by the permission players, and that's very trivial. And so that's what our position is when talking to these leaders, that the change supports all the different capabilities.
Sure. Is there also like a crypto trading community? Do you have like meme coin communities in your part of the world? Is that something
It,
you have any antagonism with, or because I mean here I'm Miami, I go to any sort of blockchain, any meetup, and there's going to be 90% people talking about like, here's why you should buy my coin. Here's why we're going up for like it's that kind of thing. Do you have that kind, or do you even go to sort of general blockchain meetups or anything like that and experience any of that?
I have gone to some of the general blockchain meetups, but this existed. It didn't exist at that level that buy this coin, or you don't find that many people, because India had outright regulated and shunned it out so
Mm,
strongly, even cut off
sure.
the access to the banks and stuff to not even trade
Yeah.
crypto, that it had not increased that much at all. It didn't get a chance
Interesting.
to increase. So that is the good part. But there were many scams also that ran. It
Yeah.
comes into notice with some of the,
Sure.
let's say your relative just comes in and inform you're doing something with Bitcoin, and I just heard somebody got caught with some
Right.
crypto coin. Yeah,
Sure.
that has happened in 20 around 2020. That was the peak of it.
Yeah.
Died down to 21, something like that. Then there was the NFT thing.
Yeah.
There were people selling NFTs or wanting to sell NFTs. That just remained, and that has also
Yeah.
faded away pretty much.
Interesting. Cool. I think we got one more question from the public, or one or two. Could you check out Gari Network? I don't know what Gari Network is. Is that something that rings a bell to you?
Chingari was a social media platform launched with the
Okay.
token. Um, One of the famous actors supported it, so it became a little famous. But nothing happened with it much later on. It just died. So nothing there.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Don't know anything about it. Never heard of it. Joey asking, will a collaboration of AI and BSV bring in a wider audience? If yes, then what's the most likely path? And if no, why not?
Very good. Yes, it will be. Wallet agents are also agents. They are managing your digital assets. They are
Yep.
making transactions. And I foresee a future there will be agents managing different activities everywhere, and that's where the coalition or the collaboration between AI and BSV comes together, where they are just agents, in which they are agents supported or having a block header running behind the scene for their actions and
Sure.
transactions that are getting executed by them.
Yeah. Awesome. Anything you wish I would have asked, or any closing thoughts from you about anything? You can talk about world politics or Taylor Swift if you like, but we should probably talk about blockchain.
Well, I want to have whatever you are doing right now, if you can, um, think of contributing, or if you need any help also with either learning development or developer resources, there is no lack. There should not be a problem with developers, I can guarantee you that. So reach out to me if that's the case. Join the program of Timechain Summer of Code. It's on tsoc.dev, tsoc.dev. That's where, if you are interested in learning, going through the program, you can join in as well for the cohort 2. And we can work together to make this ecosystem successful.
Awesome. Good stuff. Rohan, it's been a pleasure. Hopefully, and I know I said this a year and a half ago or whatever, I would love to come to India. For whatever reason, the Indian government wouldn't let me come last time I applied, but I would very much like to come visit and spend some time with you guys, and help in any way that I can, but also just get to know people and see what I can learn myself. So hopefully we make that work. Here's a really good
We'll
question though.
invite you, and let's hope you can
Yeah,
make it this.
we'll plan ahead a little further, and I'll send a letter asking.
Reach me on LinkedIn. I think that would be the best.
Yeah, okay, cool. So LinkedIn's the best place to find you. And anything else? You may not want to give out an email address or anything here on on the air, but LinkedIn's the best place to get in touch with you.
Yep, that is true.
Cool. All right, beautiful. Rohan, thanks again. I will see you soon, sir.
See you soon. Checking
All
out.
right, take care. All right, there we go, everybody. I'm going to take a little bit of a breather, and we will be right back.
And now, it's time for the meme of the week.
Rick, are you just looking at things in the office and saying that you love them?
Describe what Marcellus Wallace looks like. You were the chosen one!
I don't even know you.
I am blown away at what technology can do. Man, AI, memetics, I guess is probably the right word for it. Like, holy cow. If you have any good ideas for the meme of the week, please send them to Alex Moon at Costly Signals on x.com. He is the primary curator of our memetic culture here on the CoinGeek Weekly live stream. So yeah, if you got some good stuff you'd like to share, please share with him. We would love to get community involvement, which I think is the point of a meme in the first place. So let's keep our memetics cycling in, and then we are going to choose here a comment of the day as we close the show. Yeah, Alex Moon Vidal. That might be the comment of the day, actually. Do we have any comment or questions, comments, blessings, curses, grace, gripes, or gropes, or anything for me? We have a little bit under 1 minute, so if there's a really good question or two that I can answer while we choose the comment of the day, prepare to wrap things up, that could be a good use of our time, but maybe not. There it is. Braden Langley, you have won, sir. You get the Champions cards from our new sponsor, the Champions team. And yeah, so congratulations. Please reach out to Alex at Costly Signals on X, and he will, as long as you have a hand cash handle, he will send along your card pack, and you can continue to play on and be a champion yourself. Everybody, it is 3 p.m., which means it is time for me to reconnect with the people in my real life. I'm loving these comments as we're wrapping up. Cub letting me know memes does not equate with memetics. Richard Dawkins, who coined both terms, admitted this. It's funny because memes that I probably shouldn't go into this because it's the least funny way to end the show, but a meme is not what we think of as a meme, like a photo of something that is memeable. But actually, the meme is the concept behind the photo that induces the cultural reference. So There we go. You have learned at least one thing from just me today on the CoinGeek Weekly live stream. But also, thanks again to Rohan for coming on. I really mean it. I do want to go to India at some point in the near future. A, I love Indian culture. B, I love Indian food. And frankly, I've got a lot of Indian colleagues that I really like to work with. So it would be a lot of fun to get out there. Hopefully, the Indian government can see all the things that are good about letting me into the country. So that would be that'd be a good thing. So everybody, please, again, your like, subscribe, hit the alert bell so you know every time we go live across all the interwebs. I am Kurt Wilker Jr. reminding you to be good to each other and to tune in every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And a reminder, I probably won't be here next week because I will probably have a brand new baby. So I'll probably share updates as that happens. So thank you for your love and support and your prayers, everybody. It's been a bit of a crazy year for a whole bunch of us. So all the support is greatly appreciated. Everybody, I will maybe not see you next week, but we'll be in touch, and we will certainly be around later in the month of July for more CoinGeek Weekly live stream, because I love being here, and I love being here because of you. So thanks again. I will see you soon. Goodbye.